All right. All right, good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. Meeting of the Carver Select Board for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Select Board meetings are broadcast live and are also recorded by Area 58 Community Access Media, Channel 9, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the front page on our website for a listing and application. If we could all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our community prayer. Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility. And especially, we lift our prayers for all the citizens of our community that we have been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek, and keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen.
Amen.
Right. The first item on our agenda this evening, as always, is citizens' participation. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board this evening? All right. Yeah. Yes. Welcome.
Thank you.
You could just introduce yourself for the
Yes.
folks at home?
I'm Judy Richards, 5 William Way, a resident. I was just looking over all the articles, and I know there's probably going to be some changes. And I had a couple of concerns with some of them. The purchase of the land on Indian Street for whatever use. I know that there's land surrounding there. That's Buzzards Bay and the conservation. And the possibilities of purchasing to be able to use for access to the trails and so on. The only problem I have with that is the cost, and hopefully it would be something that we could talk to them about down the road. I think it's a lot of money to use that for town property. The other thing, my concern is the article number 8, changing the green business park to allow earth removal. I don't think that should be. They have a lot of earth there that they could use on their 227 acres instead of moving it out and then having to worry about getting earth to fill whatever they need to get their site pad ready for their commercial use. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board this evening? Okay. We have a number of special town meeting articles to discuss this evening. We're going to jump around a little bit to try to accommodate people's schedules, because I know there are other meetings taking place this evening. We have Mary Ellen Williams with us this evening, who's the chairman of the planning board. Mary Ellen, if you would like to come up. And what we'll do first, I know, Ms. Layton, I know you're here to speak to, I believe, article number 8, which is the Green Business Park. So we'll let Mary Ellen talk to us about the accessory apartment zoning, which is number 9, and the MBTA, which is number 10 first, and then you can each give us a brief thought on the Green Business Park. I know you have another meeting you need to get to it at 7 o'clock, correct?
Well, unfortunately, all those items, Mr. Chair, are going to be discussed at our meeting at 7 o'clock. So inasmuch as we have those, you have those items on your agenda, we have yet to finalize them at our meeting. So it's
Okay.
a little out of order in that respect.
Okay, and I apologize, I know Mr. Bott, our town planner, just stepped in. Mr. Bott, would you like to come up to the microphone too, in case you have anything you'd like to add? Right now, we're going to start by discussing Article 9, which is the accessory apartment zoning amendment. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, this is, we passed this at the April town meeting, but there were some minor
Correct.
modifications in the wording we had to make?
Yes, there are some revisions that were requested that we make to that article.
Requested by the Attorney General.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm Tom Bott, I'm the town planner here in Carver, Mass. So the Attorney General, in a partial approval letter, noted some parts of the bylaw we passed that needed to be revisited. And it's mostly wordsmanship stuff like it says single-family dwelling, because that's what it said in our zoning. And the AG said, well, that should say dwelling, not single-family home. So the changes aren't going to measurably change the bylaw. It's simply a matter of wordsmithing to make sure the Attorney General finds the bylaw in compliance.
Okay. Ms. Williams, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I do not, and I would agree with Mr. Bott. I read through the revisions, and they're very insignificant in my opinion.
Okay.
They want to keep it
And just-
consistent with the ADU language.
And just so the board knows, before we begin discussion, I was concerned about this because the planning board does have a meeting tonight and they're discussing these articles, and it's possible that there could be some minor wording changes in these articles. But what we can do is vote to put them on the warrant, and then if there's a change that we need to make, we can update that at a future meeting. But we normally, in the past, don't recommend or not recommend planning board articles. We just put them on the warrant. So we can.
I'll make
do
a
that.
motion to include Article 9 in the warrant.
To recommend?
No, to include it in the warrant.
to include it in the
Include. I
warrant,
thought you said approve.
No, include it, sorry, include it in the warrant.
Okay. we have
I'll
a motion-
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any questions from the board? Hearing none. All in favor of including Article 9 in the warrant?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
You don't
And-
want to vote on it, you're saying, at this time until...
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like, normally,
We don't
in the past,
usually-
we haven't, because we're not part of the public hearing process or things like that. So let's skip the Green Business Park for now and jump right to the MBTA zoning amendment number 10, if that's okay with the board. So am I correct that you folks have identified a location?
We have one location,
Okay.
yes,
And where is that?
30-32 West Street.
Is that the junkyard? Is that what that
Yes.
is? Okay.
I believe in the modern parlance, it is called an automotive recycling facility.
just
We don't
gonna
want to
say.
shame.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
your-
I stand corrected. Thank you, Mr. Bott. Okay.
3032.
Okay. Anything either one of you would like to add to that before those discussions, before we?
I don't think there is much that we can add to that because we do have some proposed language for the article, correct, Mr. Bott? that
Yes,
Judy
so
Barrett-
if I may, so we hired Barrett Planning to help us with the drafting of the bylaw. This is funding provided through the Commonwealth, through CHAPA, Citizens Housing and Planning Association. And so we have a draft bylaw that we're in the midst of reviewing for compliance. It's been forwarded to Town Council as well. Town Council's looked at it and made a couple of comments as well. It came in last week while I was away, and so I'm currently reviewing it as well.
Okay. And I'll just add before, I'm not going to say too much because I've said it before, but I abhor this law and I desperately wish we didn't have to do this, but it appears the state has us over a barrel on this. So with that, I'll turn it over to the board.
I'll make a motion to include Article 10 in the warrant.
Okay. We have a motion to include Article 10. Is there-
I'll second that for the purposes of discussion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
I just wanted to point out to those who are here who may not have attended a planning board or select board meeting on this particular article. I'm pretty sure I speak for everyone on this board, probably everyone on the planning board. We all hate this. No one likes having the state force things down our throats. But we were told by our town council that there were, I think it was approximately 9 towns who had gotten together, filed suit against the state for this, claiming it was an unfunded mandate and it was illegal. And the judge, on their very first day, just threw out all the cases and said it's not an unfunded mandate and it's legal. So we were really left with no choice because the consequences of doing this look pretty dire for the town. So nobody's happy here.
Just wanted that clear.
You're exactly right. And Mr. Carter?
I have a question. Are we, on what we're voting on, are we voting on just adding this to the warrant, or is the plan to vote on the article as an approval?
We're just adding it to the warrant.
Just add it
Because
to the
the
warrant.
planning board's going to discuss it further
Yeah,
tonight.
that's what usually we'd want to hear from the planning board, like to see the maps and everything else that we're going to be looking at. for
We're
this.
just putting it on the warrant.
We're just putting it on the warrant.
Well, my 2 cents is I think that, that at some point town meeting has to speak.
I think so. I
Yeah,
think town meeting does have to
We
speak
need to
on
hear
this.
from them.
That's why I made a
Absolutely.
motion to put it on.
So if I may just clarify, the planning board is not discussing the MBTA zoning bylaw tonight.
Okay.
That is a hearing for September 9th.
September.
It's advertised. Tonight, we're just discussing the other articles we have talked about.
September 23rd.
Yeah. When is the hearing?
Uh,
Today
pardon
is
me.
the 9th.
Yes, September 9th is not when we're discussing it. That would be tonight. Yes, September 23rd. is
September
when the
23rd.
To clarify, I don't know what the calendar looks like. Yeah, the 23rd, the planning board opened the hearings for that.
Okay. Mr. Hobbs?
So I have a question. So by identifying just one location, will that satisfy the issue with the state?
That has been determined by the Barrett Group that, correct, Mr. Bott, that would be sufficient, because we came up with several locations, and that was one that checked all the boxes, shall we say. And so that's why we chose that one area, and, probably not very desirable for many developers to go in there, but, that's on them.
Because I wasn't sure if we had to supply multiple locations in order to
If I may,
satisfy.
most towns have identified a single district for it. Some have identified several. In our case, based on Barrett Planning's experience, they said, for the sake of the voters, for the sake of the town, it's best to identify one district. It minimizes the confusion about what about this and what about that. Based on the analysis that we had done and the discussions we've had with the board, starting really in December, we came to this one parcel, and that would suffice for the Commonwealth.
Okay. I guess my other question, I know there'd been discussion before that if the location picked isn't, I want to say doable, that the state could come in and tell us where to put this housing. Is that accurate?
It is. So one of the things that Barrett Planning did for us is there's a compliance model. So you plug that information into a compliance model based on the parcels that you're identifying. They use GIS, Geographic Information Systems, to look at that parcel. Because as I said before, if you make your district out in the Great Swamp and people look at the zoning and go, that's all marshland, you can't build on that, then that's a non-starter. So based on the multiple locations we looked at, we sent 3 to Barrett. They had put all 3 through the compliance model and confirmed that any of the 3 would comply with the state statutes, state requirements.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I think with Mr. Hoff's, I believe town council said at one point the state may appoint I think call it a special master to come in and actually redo your zoning for you. Now, I think that was before the lawsuits, and there were multiple towns still fighting this. I think most towns and most of the town administrators I've talked to, the towns are now kind of resigned that this is going to move forward. And I think most of them are moving forward with articles now, and the fighting is kind of ended. So we don't hear so much talk about that special master happening anymore.
Okay, great. Thank you both.
And I might be wrong, but I thought the special master discussion was more of if we didn't put it on town meeting. I thought that was the reason to move it to town meeting. Mr. Ryan, did you have?
Yeah, I was going to ask the acreage of the proposed area. Do we know? How many?
I don't have it in
Acres.
front of me, but it's essentially 50.
About 50 acres?
But the idea is that you can have a district and a sub-district. So of that parcel, it would be divided into a district and a sub-district. That sub-district would be open space.
Okay.
So theoretically, the front part of the property would be zoned for the actual units. The remainder of the property would be zoned as a sub-district for open space. So you'd have a definitive line for where the building starts and stops at. And when you look at the property, it's pretty easy to see where that is, especially with the wetlands layers on, because the property gets kind of squoze in the middle from wetlands and things like that.
Anything else on this? Okay, we have a motion.
Sorry, one quick
Yes, Mr.
question. So your consultants have gone through this plan, and it say it checks all the boxes. Is there any preliminary submission to the state to get feedback from them before we go to town meeting and vote on it? Or will they see it for the first time if town meeting votes and approves it?
I am not aware of that. I don't know if you are, Mr. Bott.
Yes, there is a provision to send it to EOHLC for their review. Right now, we have the draft that the consultant provided for us. After I get a chance to review it some and incorporate some of town council's comments, we will likely send it to them for their pre-town meeting review.
So if they say no, then this might not go to town meeting? If they say it
I
doesn't
think
fit?
it would go to town meeting. We would probably just looking at trying to comply with what that might be. Now, I know that there are some stories about EOHLC not being as timely as possible with their replies, and considering our truncated schedule, that might be the case here as well. But it's also at the same time, you know, we're the tail end of this process, so we're the tail of the python. So hopefully most of those have been done and reviewed. But the folks at Barrett Planning, as I've talked about them before, they're essentially the gold standard in housing planning in Massachusetts, and frankly across the country. And they've done a number of these already, and I've a fair amount of confidence that what they provided for us will likely pass muster with the EOLC, but we will get that to them as well.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of placing this on the warrant? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous, thank you. And again, Mr. Bott and Ms. Williams, I know you have another meeting to get to, so if you need to excuse yourself,
Okay.
please don't think twice, okay?
Very good.
Ms. Layton, would you like to come up and join us for the discussion on Article 8, the Green Business Park table amendment to allow earth removal?
We have Savory with us tonight. We were going to have Jim, but Jim had to go to work.
All right, before Mr. Bott, Ms. Williams, do you have anything to add to this discussion before?
I'm going to chill for a couple minutes
Okay.
until I turn into pumpkin.
Okay.
It's the season.
Pumpkin spice?
Ms. Williams, thank you for coming in this evening. Appreciate it. All right, what can you tell us about Article 8?
Okay, well, I think everything that I'm going to present has been loaded into your individual computers, as well as up there on the screen. I'm going to try to, it was primarily for the planning board, but the select board needs to come aboard too. But the select board really, back in 2017, not you people, other than Sarah, had the pleasure of signing in on the urban renewal plan and all the do's and don'ts. So I thought I would take a little bit of the urban renewal plan and some of what the fact that we just learned about from Gerard Martins, who was in 2017, 2016, as I will read to you, had something, and he showed us that area today that is contaminated with PFAS and so forth is far away from the front parts of the properties that were purchased. Now, mind you, in 2017, when all this came about, Route 44 did not own all the front parts of the properties that we'll talk about. They did not own the other side of Montello either. So from that point on to 2019, they acquired all those properties and closed on them. And we'll talk about tonight 3 specific ones, which we call the Borofsky Hill. It's a little ways down off the Montello. So I guess the first page, if you want to go back to the first page, just we'll start and I'll just kind of follow along what I wrote. Thank you. The urban renewal plan started up with the CRA, that's us signing the LDA called the Land Development Agreement, and in September 2015 to designate Route 44 LLC as the developer of the urban renewal plan per 760 Chapter 12. You see, we do. The RDA has a stake in this. Oftentimes, people don't realize that, and I want to make you all aware we have a stake in it. The next one is a copy of the agreement and it was notarized and signed in September 2015. The next one, the urban renewal plan writing really began in 2015, and it took several years of the CRA public hearings, which included the town planner and the hired writer of the plan. Final signing was approved by the CRA December 19, 2016. Determination by the planning board December 27, 2016. Approved by the select board January 5, 2017. I snapped a part of the urban plan. It's very, very large. Tom Bott has a copy of it. I hope he's read it. Excuse me, Tom Bott, over there. And also you, Glenn has also had a copy of that as well. But anyway, here's the beginning pages of it. And I'm not going through it. I'm just providing it for you to read through it at a later time. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call, or Savory for that matter. It includes an executive summary. It has a vision for the future on page 2. The town of Carver envisions the comprehensive development of a 301.4 acre site, which comprises the North Carver URP as a thriving community, asset generating both tax revenue and needed employment opportunities for area residents. But there it goes on and talks about a development strategy, has a description of the project area. It has goals and objectives. I was just looking at the description of project area. The goals and objectives are bulleted, but the one I was looking at, prepare shovel-ready redevelopment sites that meet the requirements of the probable end users in the marketplace. Today, it's important that these end users want to buy pad ready, and they want it, when they drive in, they want to see everything at eye level. They don't want to see this up and down or hills or things like that. On page 4, it goes on, it talks about justification for the urban renewal and the specific urban renewal actions. Number 5 continues. And then number 9 comes up with a summary. It says, for almost a quarter of a century, the town of Carver has steadily pursued its vision of converting a largely vacant, underutilized, and blighted asset into a vibrant, valuable, and productive economic resource for the town of Carver and the Plymouth County region. The overall concept has been carefully formulated, and the town has undertaken multiple steps to move this significant economic development effort forward on an incremental basis. The North Carver URP represents the next logical step toward achieving the fulfillment of this vision. The town and the CRA are now poised to act on this extraordinary opportunity to secure Carver's economic future. The next one is just lists all the various maps and so forth. It talks on page 7. It talks about a financing plan. The next one is economic and community benefits. And the last page of 11 I have is the outline of the entire, you're probably going to have to cock your head a little bit, but it's the entire urban plan. It's not just the green business park. It's not. You see how large it is? It's vast. The second part, or what I'd like to now go into, is saying during the time frame, if you could just skip up one to the next word. Oh, that one. Thank you. During the time frame, a file management plan was created. One more, up. Okay. For the DEP in 2016, and then it was revised in 2017. On August 14, 2025, Sarah Hewins, and the town administrator spoke with Gerard Martin, Bureau Chief of the Southeastern Region of the DEP. Gerard was the Section Chief of Hazardous and Toxic Waste at Southeast Region DEP back in the day. And on August 18th, that meeting was arranged through Glenn and Sarah. Gerard Martin created a team call. Attendees were the town administrator, Sarah, George McLaughlin, and his hydrologist, both of whom are here tonight. And the lady attendees were, and I apologize, was Joanna and Jim Elliman. However, Gerard presented a map showing the area of contamination and explained that if George's proposed earth removal site is within the soil reclamation area, he, being the applicant, cannot remove that soil per the soil reclamation plan. If it is outside the reclamation area, then he could. And that's what I'm here tonight to show you, that he could. This is just the beginning page of this file management plan. It's very large. I have that. Go ahead.
I'm just, my name's George McLaughlin. I'm one of the owners of 50% owner of the property out here. I'm passing out a plan that shows the property, and it shows we had a PFAS issue out there.
Excuse me, Mr. McLaughlin, just so everyone knows, this is upside down. They're showing it upside down. So up at the top here is the Shaw's parking lot,
Yeah,
just to orient you properly.
yeah, and just, what this shows is it shows our subdivision plan, and it shows the soil that we brought in is up in this area. That was, essentially clean soil. And the PFAS that we found on the property, which was,
We should probably get you a microphone because...
Actually, Mr. McLaughlin, you probably should let let them speak for you.
All right, that's fine. Well, let me just set that aside, and I'll continue where I left off. If you, this particular page here, at the bottom, if you scroll up a little more, 1.2.3 citing, right there, just bring it back a little bit up. Okay, I highlighted it because this was 99 pages, and I had gone through the whole entire thing, and I noticed that 1.2.3, site setting and potential receptors, that line that I started to highlight, it says the homes along Montello Street in Carver are all currently served by private wells, and their mapped water supply wells along Montello Street and Heather's Path. And based on these assessments, the soil reporting category, RCS-1, is defined in the MCP, and it gives those numbers, has been determined to be appropriate for the site. So that kind of opened my eyes. And then if you come down to the next map, just prior, excuse me.
Is there a problem?
What page are you on?
Just go down, one more, go down one. Okay, down one and up, down to the map. Now hold it.
Mrs. Layton?
Unfortunately,
Mrs. Layton?
I'm gonna, I'll
No,
address yours.
Hello, Joanna, it's me.
Oh, I
just-
apologize, only one hearing aid is working.
That's okay. I just wanted to ask you, maybe if you could tell us what that paragraph actually means, the RSC1 as defined in the MPC. And it's been determined, so the home along Montello Street is where they want to remove the soil, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and that they cannot remove any soil from the site that is the original soil reclamation project, which
That
was
is correct.
the cleanup site.
That's correct.
And the best picture of that is on the page following this.
That's right, which is
Correct.
kind of at an angle, so.
Well, you have to flip it around on your computer to see it better. The Route 44 is at the bottom for that picture, just so people know. Well, yeah, you can flip it again, anyway.
Can you flip it?
Yes, you can. There's a little thing up top that makes you flip it.
Can she flip it?
It's right in the middle, Elaine, right? No, right in the middle of the picture, just above the photo. It's a little flipper, maybe you don't have it.
Yeah, it does look like she has it.
Well, we have we have this in
Yeah,
front of
but that's upside down, and it doesn't show you where the where the site, that picture where it's red, just to clarify what Mrs. Layton said, is the area, and I believe it's actually slightly bigger, is the area that the DEP, thank you, Mr. Moore.
Yeah.
That area is the DEP soil reclamation site where they brought in new soil to cover all the contaminated soil, since that's, excuse me, and that is the area where Gerard Martin at the DEP said the soil cannot be removed. Correct. So, Mr. McLaughlin, if you imagine Route 44 is at the bottom of your screen, my
Can't
understanding is
turn it,
Mr.
huh?
McLaughlin would like to remove the soil in the northeast corner of the site. Correct. Just to give people a sense of where we are.
You see it, Savory,
Mr.
between Park Ave and Montello?
There's Montello, this is Park Avenue, this
Yeah.
is the hill right here. This is the area that the earth will be removed.
That's right.
Very far away from the,
I want to remind everybody that all we're discussing here right now is whether to place this article on the warrant. We're not talking about whether to recommend or not recommend. All we're talking about is placing the article on the warrant. So if we can sort of move it along a little bit.
Well, I think that what Joanne is doing here is bringing this up because this is a question that's going to come up at town hall.
I understand, I understand, and there's but that's not, we're not talking about whether to recommend or not recommend right now. All we're talking about is putting it on the warrant. Okay. Okay, Ms. Layton.
So Sarah and Glenn were at that meeting, we're trying to show you that map. It might be confusing, and I think that's why George put this other map here. But the reality is, the conversation that we had and the end result of that conversation said that based on what you're looking at, earth removal can be taken out from that property which has those one home, two homes, and a hill. Unfortunately, this thing is not turned right, so you can't really see it.
So here it's in the lower right-hand corner of the property's site,
What?
sort of.
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, to your point of just moving things along a little bit on this, I think that the overall reason that we are proposing this amendment is that right now the zoning bylaw in the chart doesn't allow earth removal in the Green Business Park as a primary use. And therefore, by the zoning laws, the only work that can be done right now in that area is the preliminary infrastructure. And the hill in question cannot be removed until there is a plan that goes in front of the planning board for that, based on the fact that earth removal is not allowed in the Green Business Park. What we're proposing is to change it so that earth removal is allowed, so that when the equipment is in there building the loop road and the road out to the back, while that equipment is there, it can at the same time remove the earth, make the property pad ready, so that we save a year or two in the process of getting something built in there, which will in turn bring tax dollars to Carver. So that's primarily what we're looking to do here, is to move the timetable up by a couple of years before so we can start collecting money on this property.
Makes sense. Why don't we see if there's a motion from the board, and then the board can ask any questions they may have.
I'll make a motion to put Article 8 zoning amendment 290-2-2.3 on the special town meeting warrant.
Okay.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. And for the folks at home, let me just read the informational summary, because this is a very detailed article. Changing this bylaw will allow earth removal without a special permit, thereby allowing the developer to make the proposed lots pad-ready, knocking off 1 or 2 years of delays in bringing commercial business and tax dollars to Carver. There's been an impasse between the property owner and the planning board over this issue for the past 3 years, which has cost Carver approximately $4 to $5 million in unrealized tax revenue. Okay, are there questions from the board?
I just made a motion to put it on the warrant so we can bring it to town meeting and have the presentation at town meeting and
Yeah.
let people decide.
And I think it's important for town meeting to make this decision as well. Mr. Hoffman?
I just have a quick question. It says that in the informational summary, there's been an impasse over the past 3 years. So why is this being brought up now? Has this been brought up in the past?
We were hoping that the impasse would be resolved through negotiations back and forth, and when it hadn't been by after our previous town meeting in April, we at the RDA decided that we should probably do something to move this along, because it seemed to be no progress was being made on either side, and they were just going back and forth and back and forth. So we utilized our committee, the RDA, to put this forward as an article so that the town can vote on this and hopefully approve it, and that would eliminate this impasse and allow the developer to go in and make that pad ready so that a possible tenant or a new owner can come in and build right away.
Thank you.
If I could just add to that 1 second. 2017, and I believe you might have been on the board at that time, in the planning board. It seems as though after 2017 and when Hillwood left, there wasn't a lot of action. But every time that I was watching the planning board, they always talked about contamination. And they couldn't move the dirt. They could move it around, but they couldn't take it out because it's contaminated. I had a conversation with Sarah, and she enlightened me about a couple of things, and then I kept saying to her, are you kidding? What are you talking about? You know this Gerard Martins? Wait a minute. And she's very tenacious, and I am too. So guess what? They got that meeting, and Mr. Martins was there telling us, yes, you can remove that soil because it's far away. And the other part of that is in 2017, when all that was going on, and it seems as though that the planning board has like a shutdown from that time on. But those parcels that George McLaughlin and his partner bought added, they're all in the front. And in addition to that, 2 parcels they bought, we got a $3.2 million Mass Works grant that I think the planning board should realize. I never heard them mention that. And they also put on another $800,000, the Route 44, to make it $4 million. If I took you down there, and I'm gonna tell you that next week, Joanna Layton is gonna do a public service announcement with the videographer or the video guy from Area 58.
58.
And I'm planning on showing everybody, and I hope you do approve it, and thank you very much, that it does come to the town floor. And I'm going to ask the moderator if I can show that either 5 minutes or less, so that everybody can see what's going on.
Mr. Hoffman, just to give you a little bit more detail on your question, the impasse was almost always regarding the language in the zoning bylaw that says earth removal as a primary use. The developer contended that it was not a primary use. It was to make the property ready for its primary use, whereas the planning board insisted that it was a primary use and therefore did not allow it. So by eliminating this and eliminating the special permit, it allows the developer to go in and do what is going to be done anyway when an owner comes in.
Okay.
So it just increases it just moves the timeline forward.
Thanks.
Ms. Hewens and Mr. Carter.
Just a couple of things. I think one of the stumbling blocks was also that the developer at the very recently decided to sue the town over this. Is that correct, or do I have my
Not the
facts?
town, just the planning board.
Okay, okay. And probably, given the fact that no one had heard of Gerard Martin for quite a few years, he is the go-to guy at the DEP for contaminated sites. It's probable that the planning board assumed he wanted, that the whole site was contaminated, which I think a lot of people do think.
That's
So
probably-
in their defense, I'm
Right.
simply pointing that out. Yeah, but the last thing I wanted to add is that, and I know we're not deciding on an approval, but I think it's important for people who might be listening to understand that Gerard Martin did say earth removal could happen on the site, but that the site where the earth is being removed has to be clearly delineated. They need a black silt fence, something very, very clearly
Right,
delineated, so it's clear that the rest of the site is off limits.
right. I think, Glenn, you're an engineer. I think you were at the meeting, and you and Jim Ellerman were exchanging some conversation about putting up screening and to be very defined, that they cannot go beyond.
Correct. I think the board is well aware on these earth removal sites, over-digging occurs, and I'd like to see something delineated in the field, that tells people where they can be digging and when they shouldn't be digging, more importantly.
And that was Gerard Martin's suggestion as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mr. Carter.
Just overall question about the zoning for the green business park with the emphasis on a business park, which means development. Why would we never allow earth removal in a green business park?
I could answer that if I may, Mr.
I'd like to hear from.
Go ahead.
Because of the history of that site, many, many years prior to the administrative consent order that was issued in 2015 and then amended in 2017, which is where we get that nice map. Prior to that, that whole site is contaminated. And so there was not, as Joanna pointed out, there are certain areas that the developer bought that were not part of that contaminated site at the time. So it's been a long time, boards change, and the idea was that the entire site was off limits to it, and that's why it got zoned that way. That's my understanding. And that was my understanding of it too. So it was enlightening to me to hear from Gerard Martin that it was just a certain area cannot be touched.
Okay. Anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of putting Article 8 on the warrant?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, we will jump to Article 7, which is the pilot agreement, the payment in lieu of tax agreement with the Cranberry Point Energy Storage. And
Can I make the motion just for discussion purposes, or do you want to?
welcome, folks. While everyone's getting settled, I'll read the informational summary for Article 7. This article is to authorize the Select Board, Board of Assessors, and the Town Administrator to enter into and execute a payment in lieu of tax agreement for the battery storage facility owned and operated by Cranberry Point Energy Storage, LLC. All right. Welcome, folks. Thanks for coming in.
How you doing?
And welcome back.
Thank you,
You
Mr.
folks
Chair.
just introduce yourself for the folks at home.
I'm Joe Roach. I'm the former town assessor in Carver, Mass., and I've been helping out as a consultant on the Cranberry Point project to help develop a pilot agreement.
Great.
Joined by Matt Thomas, he's counsel to the Board of Assessors. He has an office in New Bedford where he is a sole proprietor, and his address is 4 Park Place. Thank you. Also joined by Ellen Blanchard, Chair of the Board of Assessors.
Welcome. Did you want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we include Article 7 for the approval and authorization of the pilot agreement with Cranberry Point on the special town meeting warrant.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I know this pilot agreement has been a long time in the works. Mr. Cannon did send some information out on the pilot agreement. The number seemed a little bit lower than I think we had thought initially. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So when we came before you prior to last town meeting, we were working with a relatively limited understanding on our part. We had hired an appraiser who prepared estimates for us in terms of the value, and we had included costs that, upon further review, probably shouldn't have been included the first time around. Notable is the interconnection with Eversource. So there's a project substation which just services the project itself, but then there's also a significantly larger station which Cranberry Point was required to build and upgrade, but Eversource will own. So originally, roughly 20 million was included in this, which is now going to be assessed to Eversource. So that's part of it. Also, just sort of changing how we looked at depreciation, how we looked at useful life. We brought on another consultant, Gary McCabe, who has extensive experience in public utilities and valuation of them. And he gave us sort of a different lens to look through, and one that I feel is more accurate, it's more defensible, and it helped us get to an agreement where Cranberry Point's recommending it to their financiers, and we're recommending it to you and ultimately town meeting.
If I can just add in, as Joe stated, this is the first battery storage pilot, really, that has been negotiated all the way through in the Commonwealth. It's 150 megawatts large, it's very large. And as we were going through the process, there was a little bit of an educational event happening as well, where we were trying to understand how is this different than solar pilots, how do you look at it, how are the batteries working, does it have a life forever, and it doesn't. These have 30-year life to them, and as odd as it sounds, at the end of the 30 years, they may just take them away. So there were issues that were playing out in the valuation, and as we were coming down to town meeting the last time, the parties were still far apart in their understandings, and their agreements on understandings. When we sadly walked away from each other last spring, none of us felt comfortable that we had done the best we possibly could have to bring to an agreement. And so Ellen and Joe and I talked about it, and we spoke to Gary McCabe, who at that time was lecturing on the subject down in Newport at an assessors conference. And so we went down, Joe and I went down, met with him, came on board. He was very helpful. He met with Ellen, Joe and I, and he built on the work that was being done by Mr. Sansucci and kind of gave it a little bit of a different contour. And by giving it that different contour, that really had us looking at it similar to how you look at cell phone towers and valuation of cell phone towers. It brought us closer to be able to negotiate this agreement. So the 1.69 million is a stabilized number. That is, there's an escalator built in, but we then stabilized it at 1.6, so it's the same amount every year, but that amount includes escalation. That's how we get to that number. So it's a little bit less than the 1.9 we originally thought we were going to be at. It's a number that we could get to an agreement on. In hindsight, when we've looked at other things, it's probably the accurate number. The 1.9 I think was too high. And for things as Joe mentioned, when you do a battery such as this, you have to pay over to Eversource to upgrade their facility. We were including the value of that upgrade in the project. And yet, in Massachusetts assessing law, you can't do that because it's going to be self-reported by Eversource. That's where you're going to pick it up, on the Eversource side. So, in addition to what you're seeing coming in as revenue here, the 1.69 is guaranteed for the next 20 years. You'll get the real estate revenue that'll come from it. Now, the real estate is not part of a pilot, but we believe we have a very good methodology to come up with the number. But that is still under regular assessing. You'll also see some additional revenue coming in from Eversource on their taxation when they report their 504s, as they normally do during the course of the year, the same way that you would see gas lines being reported and substations. So there'll be some additional revenue. So when you add it all together, at the end of the day, you're still going to be about $2 million a year going up every year, which I believe is about 3.8% of your revenue. And while the 1.69 is guaranteed, those other pieces are not guaranteed at those numbers. The benefit of doing a pilot as well, and I know this has been a concern of this board from my prior visits with you, is this is a purely transparent number that will not have a residual effect on the tax base. If we assess this as regular taxation, at the end of the day, when the project goes away, the residual value stays in the tax base. When you do it through a pilot such as this, at the end of the 30 years, there is no residual effect. The best analogy is if you were trying to fund a school and you had a choice between a debt exclusion and an override. If you do a debt exclusion at the end of the bonding period, that additional hit to the tax base goes away. If you do an override, it stays there forever. So the pilot is more like, more analogous to a debt override, in that it will not create a residual, debt exclusion. It will not create a residual effect on the tax base.
And that's why it's been one of the priorities of this board for quite some time to get this pilot done and not put this in the tax base.
Right.
Mr. Roach, did I hear you correctly? Did you say the value of the Eversource substation was going to go up by 20 million?
It was approximately 20 million. It was
Okay.
either 20 or 24 million. So that would be reported by Eversource as personal property.
Okay. All right. Other questions from the board? Mr. Ryan?
You mentioned 30 years of lifetime, but it's a 20-year pilot. What's going to happen year 21?
We could.
It's a 20-year pilot. The town has the option in the pilot to extend in 5-year intervals, I believe, or any sort of,
Yeah.
any
So
interval.
it could get extended depending on what happens.
Be renegotiated, though, and it could be less money because of depreciation and
Well,
such.
the interesting thing about this is that that was one of the biggest fights we had, or I shouldn't say fights, one of the disagreements we had, was over the depreciation schedule. Typically, batteries, the best analogy is your cell phone. The way that probably after about 2 years, you only have 80% of capacity on your battery. Here, they have an agreement where they're going to try to limit it to, I believe, 1%, right?
Correct.
So they've bought an insurance policy, so to speak, that will continually upgrade the batteries so that there will not be more than 1% decrease in the capacity. So we would anticipate that at that point in time, if we do get into a renegotiation, the number may be a little bit lower, but I don't think you'll see it at zero value. This is depreciating down to about a 30%.
Correct.
I think, over those years. So it didn't make sense to do the 30 years right off the top. It made sense to do the 20 number-wise, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay. Anything else? Mr. Cotter?
If I remember correctly, this was two components. One was the pilot program at the 1.9 way back when.
Right.
And I thought it was 2 million for real estate. I'm remembering a $4 million number. If the pilot is now 1.69, what's the real estate component?
So the real estate component, roughly speaking, the raw underlying land is about $170,000 in FY26 in tax revenue. The improvements, which would be roughly $12 million in foundation value, is $254. So your year one revenue estimated, of course, because we don't know the tax rate for 2026, would be $2,113,600. And so that maybe $4 million or a higher number, that was including,
Intangibles.
Intangibles. It was including intangibles. It was including that substation we mentioned. So Eversource, their bill's going up. The actual amount coming from Cranberry Point is going down a little bit. But that value did include intangibles that should have been included initially.
And that was part of the problem. This value that we're looking at now is based off an appraisal that was done, pegging the land value at about $8 million. And it's based on the construction permits they've pulled. So there's a justification for the number we're at right now. Because the important thing to do when you're setting the real estate value is not set a number that you're going to be at the appellate tax board on, since it's not part of a pilot. We want to be reasonable at full and fair cash value, and this is a justifiable number, we believe.
Okay. My other question with regards to, we all remember way back in 16, 17, when these solar pilots started coming out, they were kept in miscellaneous receipts. The intent was to keep them out of the levy. And then within 2 or 3 years, the state walked in. You gave us a nice story at one particular point in time. Various towns lobbied the State House and was able to get all that money put back into the levy limit, which obviously took our financial plans that we had at the time and threw them out the window. Now, a recent regulation, 5G, something that you talked about, said that now we can take this money and put it in miscellaneous receipts again, so it stays out of the levy.
Clause 45th switched it back to miscellaneous receipts.
Exactly that.
Now, in the interest of full disclosure, the Municipal Empowerment Act, which has been put forth and is being debated, would put it back in a committed revenue.
So the pilot doesn't matter.
Right, well, no, I don't say it doesn't matter, because there is strong opposition to that portion of the Municipal Empowerment Act. And I don't believe that that's going to happen. There are other parts of the act that are important. I don't think it's going to go back into a committed revenue. I can't guarantee that. But to not do pilots now, because that may happen in the future, you lose the opportunity of anything happening. Whereas if you do it now, and if it does happen in the future, you can always lobby to try to change it again. It seems like this thing is a ping pong ball that goes back and forth every other week. But the last time that the governor put the Municipal Empowerment Act forward, the legislature didn't move it forward. It's back there, it's back again, but the difference now is that it's been pared back and there is pretty substantial opposition to this one provision. It's going through hearings, so there is no final form of a bill yet on it.
So if it doesn't pass in the next legislative cycle,
It dies.
it dies, but can come back another year.
That's life, that's true. It's like raking leaves in your yard over the coming weeks. You rake them and they come right back into your yard. I don't think it'll happen again as quickly because there is opposition right now. People the argument that you folks have put forward about the residual effect has carried out. The argument that putting it into a committed revenue makes no sense because this is not a committed revenue. This is a true pilot. And so to put it in as something makes no sense. And then there's a whole operational issue where at the end of the day, you're playing around with the tax bills to make them match the pilot payments. So you're either under billing, in which case you're doing a supplemental billing, or you're over billing, in which case you're doing an abatement. And all of that has kind of been argued very strongly to the general court. They're a deliberative body as you are, so I can't guarantee what they're going to do. But what I've heard most recently as about a week and a half ago, is that this part of the Municipal Empowerment Act didn't seem to have traction.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for your questions. Good question.
Anything else? Nothing? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank
You
you.
want a motion to recommend? Can we do that on this article?
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, so
I
I'm
make a
gonna-
motion to recommend.
All right, I'll second the motion to recommend.
We have a
articles.
motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous.
Thank
Thank you, folks. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Thank
Nice
you.
seeing you.
Good to see you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Joe.
Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Ellen, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
May I stay here to do?
I was gonna say, Ellen might stay for the next one.
Yep, the adjusted veterans tax exemption, absolutely. Let me read the informational summary on that. In accordance with existing Massachusetts general laws, the town allows for property tax exemptions for property owned military veterans and their spouses meeting certain criteria. This article would accept an existing provision in the Massachusetts general laws allowing for the exemption to be extended to those whose primary residence is owned by a trustee, conservator, or other fiduciary of the person's benefit. The person will still have to meet all the other eligibility requirements for the applicable exemption. This provision requires the individual to both be a beneficiary of the trust and live in the property as their primary residence in order to receive the exemption, which protects the town from any misuse of this provision.
I'll make a motion to put Article 6 on the warrant.
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Why don't we take that? Well, why don't you tell us, Ms. Blanchard, a little bit about this?
Okay. Clause 22 is part of the exemptions in Chapter 59, Section 5. And what happens is with clause 22, or 22nd, is that it benefits the veterans who have, a disability from their service in the military. It is my opinion, and I think most everyone will agree with me, that we should be doing everything we can for our veterans, because they're just wonderful people who have often spent their time defending our rights and our freedoms. And so if we can do anything to help them, I think this is just another one of those things that we need to work on, to use. So if a disabled veteran was living in the house and sold it to, say, a child in a trust, they would lose the exemption. And even if they sold it for $1 or for love and affection, it could be anything. But unless they had already realized that they would need to reserve the ability to claim an exemption as a life estate exemption, then they would be able to keep the exemption as long as they stayed in the house and that was their primary residence. So this would change that. It would also make it available for the state residency requirement to not be 5 years, but be lowered to 2 years. The option to increase veterans exemption would, the cost of living adjustment would be made annually in addition. And I think that this, we are very careful about qualified exemptions, and we work well with the Veteran Service Officer. And I think that this is something that we should all be proud to support.
Thank you, and I agree.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second to put this on the warrant.
Question.
Mr. Carter?
Just a question so I understand you correctly. Let's say I'm a veteran. I'm
Yes.
not, but I respect all veterans. A veteran gets the exemption and then sells it, getting a little older, sells their house to their son or
Yes.
daughter. Okay? It's a life estate, so as long as he lives, the exemption stays. If he passes, the exemption goes away?
Yes.
And who monitors that?
Well,
How
we
do you
would
know?
probably be looking at, the local funeral homes to see what, those kinds of things. The Veteran Services officer would know if one of their constituents, I don't know what is the correct word for that, but that person would know and would notify the assessor's office if we hadn't already found, read an obituary or whatever.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of putting it on the warrant?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Is there a motion
I'll
to
make a
recommend?
motion to recommend Article 6.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Mr. Cannon, are you speaking to the fire department salaries this evening?
Yeah, I could actually see Mr. Ball is here.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Ms. Praval.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm requesting an appropriation of $9,268 to be appropriated for the fire budget. There were staff in when we prepared the FY26 budget prior to the 2% COLA being announced, the part-time dispatchers for Sunday and Saturday and some of the on-call firefighters, that 2% COLA had not been included, and so that 9,000 would cover that 2% increase.
All right, great. Before we have discussion, let me just read the informational summary. This article seeks to increase the fiscal year 2026 fire department salary budget to include a 2% cost of living increase for full-time staff and part-time dispatchers. Is there a motion?
Yes, I had a question on it first. So the motion at the town meeting would be, I move to raise and appropriate the sum of $9,268. That's how it'll be worded?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct. And the reason for that is that when we set our FY26 budget, we set it, through the taxes, local receipts, and state aid. Our state aid figure, when we appropriated the FY26 budget, was at the governor's budget, and when the final budget closed through the conference committee, it was a lot higher. We had a difference of $80,000, $80,151 between the time that we set our budget with estimated state aid receipts with the charges to the close. And so because we haven't submitted our tax rate yet, our tax recap, it allows us to appropriate any additional estimated receipts. And so this is requesting it come from that.
All right, so I'll make a motion to add Article 2 to the special town meeting warrant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to point out that Mr. Cannon sent us an email about that, explaining where that money came from.
Thank you.
Question?
Yeah, Mr. Carter?
Are there any other departments that have payroll issues that we need to consider in adjusting? Typically,
No.
we wouldn't adjust this if we didn't have a fall town meeting, and you'd probably be looking at reserve fund transfer. So I guess if we're going to look at all departments for payroll adjustments, are there any others?
No, all the other departments had the 2% included within the estimate.
All right, anything else?
I don't think my motion was seconded, was it?
I second it.
It was. All right, we have a motion and a second to place Article 2 on the warrant. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Is there a motion to recommend Article 2?
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 2.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. There's no one from the North Carver Water District available for the meeting tonight, correct, Mr. Cannon?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
So-
We reached out to the chairman of the North Carver Water District. He was not available. We reached out to the vice chair
Okay.
of the North
All
Carver
right,
Water
so-
District.
So since we have Mr. Siedendorf here, I believe, to talk to us about the municipal and school wells, which is Article 3, why don't we jump forward and let Mr. Siedendorf speak about that so he could go home this evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, and let me just quickly read the informational summary on this. The wells serving the town's municipal buildings, housing authority buildings, and school buildings have had equipment failures which, if not addressed, will have an adverse effect on the reliability of water for residents, town employees, and students that are serviced by the wells. Thank you. Mr. Siedentop.
Okay. So this article I'm bringing forward is to raise and appropriate $37,630.25. And what this will do, this addresses 3 of our municipal wells, being the municipal well in the center of town here, the public water supply at the elementary school, and the public water supply at the middle high school. This came about, as you know, through ARPA money. I did a project to introduce corrosion control into the municipal well. Through that upgrade, which has not been brought online yet, we've discovered that we needed some more equipment to tie everything together, some of the existing systems, the new system, to make them work. As you know, a new water operator started for us August 1st, so the baton was handed off from the old water operator to the new water operator. I've been working with the new water operator to find out what that equipment was, and in the overall, they have looked at the 3 systems and prepared a list, which is all-inclusive of this number, to upgrade the 3 public water supplies to make sure to, ensure us reliability in providing water out of those 3 wells. It'll be an upgrade. And this is something that was not in my operating budget, it was unforeseen. And that's why I'm asking for the, raise and appropriate. We do not want to wait until, to get it in the capital outlay pipeline, which was, we know wouldn't happen for a year from now.
One quick question. I think at a previous meeting when you attended, you had talked about an alarm that I think
Yes.
wasn't functioning, and you were going to install, was it an additional alarm, or?
Correct, so that was one of the pieces that will be going into the
Okay,
municipal.
that's part of this?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan?
Do you have quotes for the work now in hand?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the exact amount that you need
Correct.
based on the quotes?
Yes.
So what was the total again?
$37,630.25.
I'll make a motion to put Article 3 on the special town meeting warrant.
Second.
Okay, well, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 3.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
your
Mr.
support.
Seendorf.
Thank you.
All right. All right, why don't we keep going down, and then we'll come back to the North Carver Water. You want to talk about the unpaid bills? Mr. Cannon, I'll just quickly read the informational summary. This article appropriates funding for bills that were not paid in the prior fiscal year.
And I have a question on it, too.
Okay.
You know, Mr. Chairman, every year, there are always some bills that we seem to have missed. Many times it's because the contractors aren't attuned to our fiscal year and the end of our fiscal year. You know, particularly with, you see these are really, I would say, small bills. They're just not attuned to how important that June 30th deadline is to us. Many times these small operators, I know this from my own personal experience, they are behind in their billing, and it lags, a month or two in their billing. So these are just clearly
Regular housekeeping.
I would say just regular housekeeping.
Okay. Mr. Ryan.
My question on when this gets presented to town meeting and we're actually doing the transfers, it says department, it doesn't list accounts that we're transferring it from. So I guess in the operating budget, where's the money coming from? I mean, a good example is the Mass Municipal Association annual conference fee. We're going to transfer from select board 300, into that or any of those. So I guess the question is what's the account that they're coming from?
Through you, Mr. Chair, this article is only approving that prior year invoices be paid with FY26 funds. So there are no transfers. The bill will just is more of an accounting process. The state allows us to encumber any bill for services through June 30th through July 15th. It doesn't, if we haven't done, we did more than like $115,000 worth of purchase orders. So this is just going to be paid out of the FY26 budget.
The article's worded to transfer the sum. So is that not the proper wording? We're not transferring any money?
No, we're not transferring any money. This article allows us authorization to pay a prior year invoice out of current year funds. And this is on an accounting. If we were audited and they found invoices that were prior year paid in the current fiscal year, they would be looking for this article.
Should the wording be to see if the town will authorize the payment of $1,349.42?
Yes, out of current funds.
If I may, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Ryan's point, it says to transfer the sum from the FY26 department budgets
We're not doing a transfer, that's what Ms.
for,
Praval just said.
to pay the following
Right,
unpaid bills.
So we have to get rid of the word transfer. That's what I just heard
So we
Ms.
need to
Praval
find
say.
other money? Is that?
No, the money, the departments have the money within the FY26 budget to cover these prior year
Yeah,
payments.
that's what it says.
It could be how you are interpreting it, but we're not transferring the money. All we're doing is paying this bill out of current year
Right,
funds.
They
I'm
only
sorry,
got
but
the
the
bills.
article,
Mr. Cannon, has town council reviewed this?
Town council has reviewed this.
They only just got the bills, but the FY.
no, I understand the
years-
purpose, but the article's written to say
Well,
transfer.
they have to
and-
take the money from somewhere. They're taking
Ms.
from,
Praval
she
saying
just
it's
said
not
the
a
departments
transfer.
have
But I
the
think,
money.
Mr. Cannon, town council has reviewed this article, right?
Town
I mean, this is a
council-
regular article that is at
Yes.
every single town meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's not. See, what's happening here is you're paying previous year's bills with this year's money. So we're going to authorize the payment of FY25 bills with FY26 money. That's what we're actually doing here. So it's really, the wording should be to authorize the payment of FY25 bills with, FY26 dollars.
well,
That's what we're doing.
why don't we do this? Why don't we vote to put the article on the warrant, since we clearly need it on the warrant.
Yeah.
Mr. Cannon can ask council to review once again and make sure the wording's correct, and if we need to
Yes.
make some change, we have time to make that change.
We could do it on the 16th.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, I agree. I think maybe town council may not have known the purpose of the article, that we're actually paying prior year
This
bills.
stuff happens every year, though. I'm pretty sure he's aware of what that
Mr. Chairman,
means.
we'll see town council tomorrow.
All
as a
right.
matter of fact.
There you go.
At 3 o'clock, I believe it is.
All right, so we'll review that and.
So I can make a motion that we include Article 1 on the warrant, but...
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Cotter?
A quick question. You can confirm that all these bills are no more than one fiscal year old. Nothing goes back to fiscal '24, '23, '22.
That's correct. These are all prior FY '25.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of including this in the warrant? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is unanimous. Is there a motion to recommend?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Again, we'll get you.
I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna recommend until it gets fixed.
We'll check the wording to see if
All
that's,
right.
if we need to make a change. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No. Okay, I'd like to see the wording fixed.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I guess, Mr. Cannon, since there's no one here from the North Carver Water District, I guess this will fall on you to discuss. Let me just read the informational summary. The North Carver Water District has failed to maintain the plant and allowed it to deteriorate to a point that needs to be addressed. The North Carver Water District Chair has had talks to commercial property owners and prospective developers that have paid betterment fees to receive water from the North Carver Water District. The agreement with Middleborough and the DEP preclude the new hookups of water to Middleborough. Thus, the water plant needs to get back online to produce water for future. And just, that is not my wording, that is the informational summary. I don't know who wrote the informational summary, but...
It goes on the next page.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, it does, I'm sorry. Okay. Thus, the water plant needs to get back online to produce water for future development. This evaluation will include the existing overall plant as it is now, itemized list of issues, cost of repairs, alternative processes of water treatment, water tower location, and costs. And again, I assume that informational summary came from the North Carver Water District?
Yes.
Okay.
The submitters of the article.
Thank you.
I would actually clarify that. I would say it came from the chair of the North Carver Water District. I'm not sure the North Carver Water District Committee took a vote on it.
Okay. That was my next question. The
I
North
did-
Carver Water District voted on this.
I did.
Says
I did
3-0.
speak-
It does say North Carver Water District 3-0
Oh, there you go.
on this.
I'm sorry, then I'll stand corrected, because I know
Okay.
they had a discussion at a public meeting, I wasn't sure of the vote.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to be in a unique position with this article. It is going to be my recommendation that this article not be placed on the warrant. And I'll give you a couple reasons. Number one being is that we have legislation right now at the State House to dissolve the North Carver Water District and for the town to take over the North Carver Water District. With that said, I also think that the sum of money here is not appropriate at this time. Right now, we had a meeting today with the town engineer, a firm specializing in water treatment plants. They gave us a range of between $40,000 and $50,000 to go through the plant and to tell us how much it costs to bring the plant back online. I believe that is the right first step to take, not a $500,000 article. Sit down with the engineers, and then we have, at that point, it's a decision point. Well, let's see what they come up with for their estimate. We move forward. Do we move forward as a standalone facility? Do we continue with the Middleborough assessment? We've had this discussion numerous times. So I think that's the right first step. And again, of course, I think the first step is for the town to take over the North Carver Water District, and then to move forward with this type of procedure. And I've said this before, I'm a believer in controlling our own destiny. I think it'd be great if we can operate the North Carver Water District, but we have to do it in a financially responsible way.
Okay, thank you. And just for informational purposes, the $500,000 they are requesting, if town meeting were to approve that, where would the money come, what would be the funding source?
The only funding source I could name would be a stabilization fund. I would also tell the board to, this is a project right here that has to me, in my opinion, needs to go through the capital outlay committee. It has not gone through capital outlay committee. They haven't been to the finance committee. There's a process for a project this large. And then, so far, they haven't followed the process.
Okay. Other questions from the board?
Just, I believe, I think we're having a capital outlay meeting tomorrow night, and I believe the chairman's coming to present his case. But have you seen anything?
I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, the chairman's coming to
The
what?
chairman's coming to explain his $500,000 that I'm hoping,
To the capital outlay?
to the capital outlay. And I'm hoping with some support for the $500,000. I'm not sure what, I'm not sure if you have seen anything. To the
I
town
haven't seen any
administrator.
backup to it at all. I haven't seen the engineer's report. I haven't seen any estimates, any written estimates.
So maybe we recommend we wait till next meeting to bring this up. If they're going to be meeting with capital outlay and potentially finance committee, we'll get more input. We don't have to really vote to put it on the warrant or not tonight. We can wait till next
We
meeting.
could. The next meeting is very full. We have 4 public hearings on the next meeting,
Yeah.
but we could put it off to a future meeting and find some time to vote on it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I recommend we follow the town administrator's advice. I think his proposal is really good to talk with the town engineer that we've hired, who is giving us a much better estimate to figure out what we actually need to do there. So,
Well, I guess
and it is in the legislature. It has not, our legislation to dissolve the district, it hasn't died yet. So,
that is
still there.
Correct.
that is correct.
I guess, okay, sorry.
Mr. Hoffman.
So I have a question. So let's say the legislature approves, North Carver Water District dissolves, town takes over. If we approve this, can the North Carver Water District engineer study still happen because money's set aside? Or is it because it's no such thing as the North Carver Water District
Well,
would be
that's the
dissolved?
thing, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be somewhat of a legal question in my mind, that the town would then take it over, but again, I'd want to check with legal to make sure we have the authority to even spend that money.
Because it says up to, it says not to exceed 500,000. So I'm sure, the chairman of North Carver Water District has been getting some quotes, so it might not even come up that high. But I think we all agree a study has to be done. I think we should put it towards the town to vote on that. But again, if it's gonna get dissolved and this money then does, we can still use that money, I guess is my question.
So you're
But we
saying you
don't.
think we should put this on the,
But we don't know if we can use that money.
Right, well, that's my question.
Yeah.
and again, the funding source is the stabilization fund.
Which I wouldn't recommend money coming out of the stabilization fund for this either.
Okay, well, I guess at this point, first is, yes, Mr.
No
Carter.
question, sorry. We don't know when the state will say, hey, this has been approved, right?
Correct, dissolving the district, we don't know.
We don't know, but you're working with an engineer to come up with valid costs as to what it would take to turn it on, get it up and running again, and things of that nature. So sounds like you might not have something until next year's regular town meeting for costs that would go through the normal path of capital outlay, free cash, or something. So it's not that we're not going to address what we can do with the North Carver Water District. We just might be in a better position at the spring town meeting to do it.
Correct, at the springtime, yes. I'm trying to get us aligned so we can move as quickly as possible once we have control of the North Carver Water District. I do plan on bringing that information prior to Capitol this fall, and again, lining up for the Springtown meeting for that funding.
That would also give us an opportunity to find a funding source that's not the stabilization fund.
At that point, we'd be talking about free cash.
Yes. Ms. Burrell, did you have something you wanted to
Yes,
add?
through you, Chair. I just wanted to make note that with the North Carver Water, it is an enterprise fund. And with all enterprise funds, and DOR is watching Carver pretty closely with the North Carver District because it's receives subsidies. So we have more than, $200,000 worth of subsidies that's been provided. And usually when that happens, the district would need to look at increasing the water rates, because with an enterprise fund, you should be raising the amount that you're using for your expenses. And that currently hasn't been done. I've been working with the water commissioner and just waiting for them to vote on. I know they had a meeting to vote on looking at increasing rates, but that hasn't happened yet. But just to keep that in mind, as you're looking at, funding sources, we should be looking at the usage and increasing the water rates.
Well, I guess at this point, is there any other discussion on this article? Is there a motion to put the article on the warrant? Okay. I think, Mr. Carter, did you say capital outlay is meeting with the North Carver Water
Yes.
District tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
So maybe after that meeting, you could update the town administrator, and if it's something you feel we need to have on a future meeting, you can let us know, okay?
Do we need to take some action, like either put it or not put it on, or at this point?
Can you vote the table? I don't know.
I
We
would,
have to
I
do
would
something
prefer the
with it.
board voted not to put in the warrant. I'd like
Okay.
to come to you on the 16th with a completed warrant. We talked about this last year when we scrambled a little bit out with the warrant. I talked about having a final meeting of just a completed warrant.
Okay.
And we do plan on posting on the 17th.
Right.
So, time is.
So you would like a motion not to put?
I would like a motion not.
So I'll move that we do not put this article, the North Carver Water District request for funding article on the special town meeting warrant.
All right. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
So if we do not put the, excuse me, so if we don't put this on, if we vote not to put it on the town meeting warrant, we can't go back and, if we find out that capital outlay does not want to take part in this and we're still unsure of the dissolving of the North Carver Water District.
We took a motion tonight not to put the article on the warrant, but you found out information in the intervening time after the capital outlay meeting that changed your mind or we could come back and change our recommendation.
We could. You could change your recommendation on the 16th.
Yes.
Is that
Okay.
your question?
Yeah, thank you for interpreting what I was trying to say.
Wouldn't it be just as simple to table the vote until the 16th?
Well, again, on the 16th, I'd prefer to have a final warrant as it's going to be presented at town meeting in front of the board, so you can see all articles that including. This is kind of where we got into trouble last year, where, we waited too long to make our final decisions. Again, on the 16th, I'd rather have one final document. You can read it cover to cover, answer any questions we have, but a completed document.
And again, if the board felt strongly that they should change it, we could change that on the 16th.
Correct. We don't post until Friday for the 16th meeting. We could post it right back on there.
Okay. We have a motion, and I'm sorry, we have a second, correct?
This is a motion, a second, to not
Not
put it on.
put the article on the warrant. That's right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed only because I'm hearing about it tomorrow night, so I can't.
Opposed.
All right.
So is it 3-2?
3-2.
3-2. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is the purchase of land on 0 Indian Street. Assessors map 92, lot 1. Do you have an update on that from Community Preservation?
I do, Mr. Chairman. I have reached out to the Community Preservation Chair. At this point, he is not interested in bringing this forward as a community preservation article. Therefore, right now, we do not have a funding source for this.
So I'm going to make a motion not to include Article 4 on the warrant.
That would be my recommendation, yes.
That's my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Just the one point is if we don't do this, then we have to act on the land, right?
We would have to have
We'll have to have an agenda item at the next.
On the 16th.
On the 16th
to decline our
to
right of
decline.
first refusal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we would have had it at this meeting, but we didn't get an answer from the Community Preservation in time to get it on the agenda.
Well, we got an answer from the chair, he said no.
Yeah, but it came after we had published the agenda. That's why.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's why it wasn't on
No,
this,
you're right.
otherwise it would have been on this agenda.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we have a non-binding referendum to sell the Carver, Marion, Wareham Regional Refuse Disposal District. Mr. Carter, would you like to speak to this?
I'd love to speak to this.
That's Article 11. It's also Article 12, which is a non-binding referendum to dissolve the Carver, Marion, Wareham Regional Refuse Disposal District Committee. So maybe you could speak to both articles.
Sure. I'll go a little bit further than that. Just to, what both, the Waste District has 6 members, 3 from Carver, 3 from Wareham. So there's not really looking like it's going to be like a majority vote at some particular point in time. Everything seems to go 3-3. So as we go forward with this, I want to give you a little bit of background. Obviously, both myself and I believe DPW from Wareham, Paul Menard, were the first only two people on this committee now that was on in the beginning when we had a lot of misappropriation of funds. We had the whole shutdown of CMAS. We analyzed whether this district could run on its own by user fees and determined that it couldn't. We were shutting it down. Marion left. Carver and Marion voted to shut the thing down. We were going into, late 2020, and I believe it was in September that the Board of Selectmen of the town of Wareham and the town administrator got a lot of feedback from residents, very upset and concerned that they were losing the district, as well as curbside trash, I think, was being introduced at that fall town meeting. So we were approached as the district by the town of Wareham to reconsider continuing with it because it was ending 12/31/2020. Wareham was going to take it over, try it for 1 or 2 years, see if they could make it work, what were the really costs associated with this. They would provide services to the Wareham residents, and they would provide services to Carver for a fee. We agreed with the intent that Carver would have no assessments from this. There'd be no additional cost to the town of Carver. Thankfully, it ran for, I guess, one and a half years. And then it was decided Wareham wanted to continue that deal, so a second deal was signed for 3.5 years. That deal ends December 31st, 2025. There's an automatic renewal to go another year to 12/31/2026. That's kind of where things stand right now. When they took over the district, they knew what they were getting. They've invested some significant capital into this. There was talk at a lease fee that the district would charge because they were basically leasing the facility from the district. And it really didn't seem to make sense because we knew they were going to have to invest some funds, and why take more money? If we could just provide a service to residents, let's do it. All right, so fast forward X number of years now, Wareham's decided that they like it and they want to buy it, own it, and they approached Carver to say, hey, would you consider selling the district to us with the agreement that we would still provide services to your residents? So we've had various discussions. And it comes down to really three areas, I think. First is liability. If we, Carver, sold the district to Wareham, we have no liability with regards to the facility itself. If they find something that happened 6 months after we sold it, we're off the hook. If something happens in the landfill, which is over in South Carver, something happens there, both Carver, Marion, Wareham, everybody's on the hook, but there's laid insurance policies that should not require any out-of-pocket costs from any 3 towns. So it's covered that way. So that what we gain from a reduced liability standpoint is not having any liability for the actual site that the recycling center's on. One. Next piece is the purchase price. Again, we're talking tomorrow night, so I don't really want to say what we're planning to do as the 3 members, but I'll tell you what was talked about, it's public at last night's meeting, was trying to come up with a value. There's a assessed value of $753,400. That's what the Rochester has it assessed at. There were various appraisals done over time, 3 appraisals. 2 came in under that 753, one at 590, one at 740. One came in at $1,700,000. And Wareham is disputing that value because they think it contains, they're comparing it to maybe an income-producing property or something that has a high development value, but they're disputing that 1.7. So we have one thing to come up with is what will the value be? What will we settle on for a price? The second item, which I think is just as important, if not more, is a long-term agreement. If we were to turn around and sell our rights to it, what will the residents be able to use, and how long will they be able to use it for, and will the cost be, controlled? What would happen down the road if Wareham, I think, might think about offering it to other towns, maybe create some kind of, break-even analysis on it, but they just want control of the site, and they made that clear, and they've been investing all the money to it. So I guess where it stands right now is we'll be negotiating tomorrow night with Wareham. it's not a slam dunk that we'll come out with an agreement, so it could quite possibly happen that these items might come off the town meeting warrant, but that's where we stand right now. We think we can resolve the real estate value component to it, but we really want to fight for a long-term maintenance contract for the citizens of Carver.
And again, both of these.
My other two members, am I getting that right? Is that what you guys heard the other night?
I think you are.
Yes.
And again, both of these are non-binding referendums.
Yes. And both Wareham and Carver, members of the district, have said that they want to go back and bring this and keep the boards involved and go to town meeting, keep town meeting involved, because I think legally, I think the 6 members could make a decision without really talking to anyone, and we just didn't want to go that route.
I think so, but I think it's important to get town meeting some thoughts.
Yes.
On this.
So you want to, I'll make a motion to recommend Article 11 be put on the warrant.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to put Article 11 on the warrant. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
I think it might be hard to take a motion to recommend and not recommend until we know what the purchase price
Right.
is. So perhaps we can update our vote at the next meeting if there's an agreed upon purchase price.
Okay,
Anybody disagree with that?
Nope.
that's fine.
Okay. I'll vote on Article
So
12.
I'll make a motion to place Article 12 on the special town meeting warrant.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is unanimous. And again, once we have a purchase price, I think we could better vote to make a recommendation or not. We have 2 petition articles that automatically go on the warrant. We do not need a motion to put these on the warrant, correct, Mr. Cannon?
Correct, that is correct, Jim.
They go on as submitted. One is a petition article, Article 13, for zoning amendment to change the use map from residential agricultural to general business on Shoestring Road for specific parcels. Second petition article, which we heard a little bit about at a previous meeting, was a request for the select board to challenge the 40B affordable housing requirement law by using all avenues, including legal and media. The board may have seen, I believe this email went to all members of the board. Mr. Belvin did submit a letter that he asked to be read at at this meeting tonight. I discussed this previously with Mr. Cannon, and he felt that by reading that letter, it might imply an opinion one way or another on the board's thoughts on this. So we thought a good compromise might be to include the letter in the minutes of the meeting. Any thoughts, any issues with that?
No.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll include that letter from Mr. Belvin in the minutes of tonight's meeting. And again, we don't need any type of motion on Articles 13 or 14.
Okay.
So the letter will be included in the minutes?
In the minutes of the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, as a public comment. Yep. So next is to ratify the clerical union contract. Here's the motion to ratify that contract.
I
So
make a
moved.
motion to ratify the clerical union contract.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
4 to 1.
And through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to explain to the people watching that all contracts come with a cost, so does this, but it also comes with is more as a reduction of town services because vacation time is being increased from 4 weeks to 5 weeks for long-term employees, which I don't agree with, especially since a lot of employees have significant carryovers from prior years and we're giving out more vacation time. It also has a precedent-setting issue with step increases that I disagree with, and I think it's going to cause problems with future contracts. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Town administrator update. Mr. Cannon.
You know, the only thing I have, Mr. Chairman, is down at the COA, they are repaving the COA parking lot, the beach parking lot, and then the access road down to the beach. While that's going on, the COA parking lot is closed, so is the beach parking lot and the access road. But the COA, and I know it's very difficult, they do have alternative parking right now at 44 Lakeview Street. It is a grass field, so there are some issues there if you have mobility issues. But COA is open for business. I just want the board know that and let the residents at home know that. Again, there is alternative parking right now. Hopefully that project will be done, the paving will be done this week, and will be opened up next Monday morning. But it's
Great.
alternative parking to it.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Let's see, topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting. There are none. Select board announcements. Ms. Ewens.
Thank you. Just wanted to continue to remind people that Shane Gives Thanks Food Pantry is always in need of donations and also needs people to come and take advantage of their wonderful location and their supplies. And to remind people that we do have a town meeting coming up, as we've been talking about forever, October 7th at 6:30 PM in the middle high school at 60 South Meadow Road.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hoffman.
I just want to remind everybody that September is Childhood Cancer Awareness, and the Social Action for Hope is having a cornhole tournament to help raise funds for this worthy cause. The cornhole tournament is Saturday, September 20th. There's still plenty of openings.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cotter.
I don't have any comments.
Mr. Ryan.
Two things. One is to remind people, so the veterans banners are up through Veterans Day. That was the intent originally. And then I guess the people that provided the names and everything can get the banners. We're going to make them available to them. So if they would like to get the banner after Veterans Day, they're available. And then also we plan to then put them back up again, Memorial Day. So if these people want to apply to those, to have new banners put up, we'll accommodate, and probably we should have a meeting at some point to go through the logistics of that. But I just want to remind people that the intent of the banners was for them to have them. I don't know if you want to add a couple things.
You do, if I may, Mr. Chair. Yes, so I also wanted to make it really, really clear that if people don't want to bring the banners home, the primary intent is to have banners up there.
Yes.
If people request them, that's fine, they're theirs. But we kind of hope people will leave some of them up there. They will be going back up on Memorial Day continuously, and if there are new ones to add, we have lots of phone polls, so we will keep going. But if people really do want their banner, that's fine. We also kind of hope that you leave them there because they look so nice. They will be coming down in November after Veterans Day simply because of the weather.
Right.
That's the only reason. Then they'll go back up for Memorial Day.
Okay.
Thanks,
Dan. And the second thing is just to remind you about the farmers market. We needed a rowboat to get around last Sunday. It was a little wet. So maybe that's something, if we do have funds at some point to do any improvements over there. Literally, the water was in some of the booths was up to your knees. People having to slosh around, so there was a lot of flooding over there. I don't know if you realize that, but when it rains, you get flooding in the park, and the vendors had set up, and they were sloshing around in boots to try to service people. So maybe in the future, if we do have some funds, we should look at maybe fixing some of that if we can. But just a reminder to continue to support that.
All right, thank you. And I guess for myself, the second week in September is always Public Safety Recognition Week here in Carver. So I just want to, as always, thank all our public safety officials, police, fire, EMS, dispatchers, everyone for all you do. You help make Carver a special place, and we appreciate all you do. With that, our next meeting is September 16th, 2025. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you, Area 58. Have a great night, everybody.